Get ready to embrace debate. First Take starts now.
Coming up on the First Take podcast, where should LeBron and Melo play next season? Plus, will we ever see Josh Gordon back in the NFL? And is Johnny Manziel's partying getting out of hand? First Take podcast starts right now. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to First Take. The trio is here. Carrie Champion,
Woo.
Skip Bayless. How was your vacation? Stephen A. Smith, how was your vacation?
Wonderful, wonderful. How you doing?
Good to see you.
You know what? It just occurred to me.
You're going to leave me hanging like that?
Wait. I'm not going to leave you hanging. A handshake for me today is not enough. Will you excuse me for 1 second, please?
I will.
Hang on 1 second.
Will
you move your van?
Is this what it is?
No, we're doing this. We're doing this.
They're hugging.
I got a hug.
He got a hug. They're hugging. They
I
love
almost
each
tipped
other.
over Carrie's vanity table.
And my vanity table with my mirror and my coffee.
Yeah.
We're back. The boys are back.
It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you
Now
all.
good.
You guys, we got your messages. We realized you really wanted us to be back from vacation, but we needed it. So let me tell you, we're about to get this started, shall we?
Yes.
NBA
We're ready to roll.
Free agency. Let's talk about it. NBA free agency obviously is very fluid. LeBron James is the topic. Extremely methodical in his approach to free agency since opting out 2 weeks ago. The plan was family vacation, while his agent took a few meetings. And now our Brian Windhorst and Mark Stein are reporting James is seriously considering the Cavs. They become a front runner, replacing Miami. While again today, LeBron will meet face-to-face with Pat Riley. So let's discuss his options. We talked to our expert, our insider. Skip, if we give it to Stephen A. Smith. What do you think?
First of all, LeBron's options are enormous. He can do what he wants to do. Okay. He's the man. There's no question about it. He's been listening. His agent, Rich Paul, has been listening. Brian Windhorst has accurately reported, along with Chris Broussard, both doing outstanding jobs. They both accurately reported how, essentially, LeBron is going to leave things to Rich Paul. Rich Paul has talked to Dallas. He's talked to L.A. He's talked to Phoenix. He's talked to Cleveland. He's talked to, you got Houston that wants to be on the radar. The list goes on. And essentially, it's LeBron James' pick of the litter, because no matter who anybody else wants, if LeBron says, I want you, they'll throw everybody aside to get their hands on LeBron James. So let's understand that. Now, as we look at this particular situation, one of the things that I think that has been a misnomer, Skip, is that everybody has been pointing to how LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony have been holding up the process, because LeBron is number one, Carmelo's number two on the hit list, and they've been holding up the process. Right. I dare say I believe Chris Bosh has been holding it up. And the reason I believe Chris Bosh has been holding it up is because he opted out of the 2 years, $42 million owed to him over the next 2 seasons. He opted out, just like Dwayne Wade did. We all know that Dwayne Wade, in all likelihood, isn't going anywhere. He's going to retire Miami Heat. That's what Pat Riley and the Miami Heat organization wants. Even though they want to keep Chris Bosh, it doesn't mean that they're willing to give him what he can get elsewhere. So you have Houston now, who's had Chris Bosh on their radar for the longest. Everybody's been talking about Melo. Of course they want Melo. But they don't believe they've got much of a shot at getting Melo. They believe they have a better shot at getting Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh understands that even though he would prefer to be in Miami and remain in Miami, because he and his wife both love South Beach, in the end, if Houston comes with $90 to $96 million and Miami ain't trying to do that, Chris Bosh is going to leave for Houston. If that happens before LeBron makes his decision, then all of a sudden, you're Pat Riley. You don't have to worry about appeasing the big three. You've already worked something out with D-Wade, and it's about keeping LeBron James. So all you have to do is go out and get somebody else. And that somebody else, their attempt would be Carmelo.
Sure.
As I've reported on many occasions, Melo and LeBron would like to play together. It has to be ideal. They want their money and all of this other stuff. But they would love to play together, okay? You're Carmelo Anthony, all right? The New York Knicks are number one on your list. at the same time, the Lakers were incredibly impressive because they appealed not just to Carmelo, but to Lala Anthony because of her Hollywood aspirations. Got the director Joel Silver, season ticket holder, along with Tobey Maguire doing the voiceover. It was incredibly special, and the Lakers have their act together in terms of their presentation. They've wowed Rich Paul with LeBron James. They've wowed Carmelo Anthony and his camp with Bay Frazier and all of those boys. It's impressive. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. To me, Chris Bosh is the X factor, because if Chris Bosh elects to stay and the health of Dwayne Wade is still questionable, there's but so much Pat Riley can do, because he already lost out on Martin Gortat, lost out on Kyle Lowry. You were hoping to get one of those guys. They re-signed with their respective teams in Washington and Toronto. So what can you do? In the end, you haven't been doing much, which elevates the possibilities of LeBron James ultimately leaving. But if Chris Bosh were to leave, and then you talk about Adam Melo, now that changes things in my estimation. So it's all about timing. Who's going to make the first move? When is it going to happen? It's all up in the air right now, and that's the reason why things are so non-definitive. Because everybody's wondering who's going to make the first move. The only guys who can afford to procrastinate are LeBron and Melo, because they both have their money waiting for them in Miami and New York, respectively. They ain't going anywhere. But everybody else has to make a decision, because the longer they wait, the more the money will disappear.
As usual, astute analysis on your part. But you're reading the tea leaves the opposite way I'm reading them. I think you're looking at the tea leaves upside down as it concerns the key domino here, Chris Bosh. Not the biggest domino, but the key one who could be the first domino to fall, maybe as early as today. Who's to say that Pat Riley hasn't quietly made it clear to Chris Bosh he doesn't want Chris back? Is that possible? Well, again, Chris opted out thinking, I'm going along with my guys here because everybody's opting out. Chris, God bless him, because he's made a lot of big shots and contributed a lot of key plays. Remember the rebound that led to the three from the corner that saved the Game 6. But Chris Bosh has always been the third wheel. In the last 3 games of this past NBA Finals, wouldn't you say Chris came up pretty small by Chris's standards?
Yes, he did.
He disappeared completely in those 3 games.
He did.
Who's to say that Pat Riley's way out of this mess, the quickest fix, is to quietly make it clear to Chris Bosh, you know, Chris, you should go get the money while the money is good. And if I'm Chris Bosh, I'm thinking along these same lines, because if I have a chance at age, what's Chris? He's 30, just turned 30, okay? Let's say Chris Bosh is thinking, I got my 2 rings, courtesy of, and I contributed some on my part, but courtesy of LeBron and Dwayne Wade. I got my 2. I'm 30. I can go back to my home state in which there are no income taxes. I can go to Houston, who is obviously not a favorite, but a contender in the West. And if I join, he would help them immensely to join Dwight and Harden. I assume Chandler Parsons will still be there. I don't know that for a fact.
We don't know that yet. Cleveland and Dallas are coming after Chandler Parsons in the event they can't get
So why wouldn't Chris see the handwriting on today's wall and say, wait a second, I'm out. I'm not chasing Michael Jordan here. I don't need 5 or 6 rings. I got my 2. Why wouldn't he get that 4-year, $96 million max? He could get that from the Rockets right now.
From the Rockets.
Okay, at age 30, that's pretty good money. 4 years, $96 million. Well, and again, does Chris want to play more than 4 more years? I doubt it.
Yes, he does.
You think
he's
so?
only 30.
I don't know. He's made noise about not wanting to play that much longer.
He definitely wants to play past the age of 34. I would say that. But the other thing, well, you're absolutely right on the money, because that's what I'm trying to say. The Miami Heat are not going to announce that they don't really want Chris Bosh back. Chris Bosh is a good player, and it's not that they don't want him. He's just not the priority. And because he's not the priority, while also simultaneously being a priority for the Houston Rockets, clearly you're going to be in a position to get money from Houston that you ain't going to get from Miami. And so as a result of that, that's where everything, that's why I keep saying Chris Bosh is the guy. Because everybody's talking about LeBron or Melo. But if Chris Bosh makes a move before LeBron makes his decision, then it changes everything.
Sure.
It changes everything. And that's why the timing, that's why everybody, all right, so what? LeBron's meeting with Pat Riley. Well, LeBron and his meetings are an incredibly big deal because the timing of his decision is going to dictate so much. If he waits and Chris Bosh doesn't, it changes everything for the better for Miami. But if you have to make a decision today if you're LeBron James, that's to the disadvantage of the Miami Heat.
Okay, so,
and that's the problem.
So just for argument's sake, let's say that Pat Riley has subtly made it clear to Chris, you should take that money and run to Houston.
That's right.
Okay? All of a sudden, the decks are cleared 4-1 Carmelo Anthony to go to Miami.
Yes.
It's the quickest fix because it's the one Pat Riley Memorial home run move, right? The way he brought the big three to Miami 4 years ago, he would bring Melo to Miami now, which raises the issue. Would Melo, because I've said from the start, you and I have gone back and forth, I've said my gut feeling has always been Carmelo will not leave New York. Well, and obviously Phil Jackson.
Let me say this to you. I spoke to some folks yesterday in New York City when I got back from vacation. This is the mentality that the New York Knicks have. All of this noise about how the Lakers are in the mix. The New York Knicks, maybe it's foolish, but the New York Knicks are not worried about your Los Angeles Lakers.
Really?
Because the cupboard is bare. Okay. All you see is draft picks, cash, and Kobe. You don't really have much of, they don't even have a coach yet. Okay, so the point is, you look at the Lakers and you're like, excuse me, the New York Knicks can make a legitimate argument, especially with the moves that Phil Jackson has made. By the way, Phil Jackson is doing a good job. I mean, some of the moves, he's doing a good job. That has been impressed upon Melo. Jose Calderon is a significant upgrade to Raymond Felton.
Do you remember what happened to my Spurs in the first round of the playoffs thanks to Calderon and Dallenberg?
That's right. Samuel Dallenberg, Tyson Chandler may be better than Samuel Dallenberg because he knows how to play, but Samuel Dallenberg is no scrub. So when you look at the kind of moves that Phil Jackson has made and you combine it with the fact that they've talked about moving Amari, possibly to Philly, who's the clearinghouse for everybody right now because they got $30 million in cap space, they would want Amon Shumpert, by the way, if they were to take Amari Stoudemire contract off of the Knicks books. In the end, understand, you're the New York Knicks. You're saying we're a better option than L.A. if you are true to what you say, Melo. You want a better chance at winning. We have a better opportunity.
You said their presentation was impressive, though.
It was impressive because the impression, when you got the movie stars and directors and all of this other stuff, and they're talking to you about the franchise and the 16 championships and all of this other stuff, their history, it matters. They know how to present themselves. But Jim Buss is still there to get in Mitch Kupchak's way. Don't rule that out. But in the end, you're not in a better situation than the New York Knicks right now, okay? But if you're Miami, they would be very worried, which is why they would want Melo to make a decision sooner than later because Miami is still in flux right now, and they can't just come out there and just disregard Wade and Bosh and all of these boys to get Melo. But if Bosh leaves, then that's a different ball game. So the Knicks would be more worried about Miami than they would about the Lakers right now.
Okay, so we're back to Melo. How much would Melo's head turn toward Miami, thinking I could play with LeBron, I could play with Dwayne, even though Dwayne's going on, 32, and we know he's got knee issues. Well, I'm still betting on Dwayne Wade next year. That's just me. I'm not writing him off.
So am I.
And whatever second and third level free agents then Pat Riley could mix and match around the duo of LeBron and Carmelo, because he and Spo have already toured the country talking to Luol Deng and a cast of dozens,
Luol Deng, and Luol Deng don't come off that $13 million he wants.
All right. Okay, well, we'll see. But again, it might open some eyes if it's Carmelo and LeBron in Miami.
Carmelo would have whiplash because here's the thing. New York is New York, and they can offer, but you have to remember why they can offer $34 more million than anybody else. It's because of the additional year. If you took away the fifth year and it was just a 4-year deal, right? Then you're talking about the numbers being significantly closer, more closer to like 9 or 10 million as opposed to a $34 million difference. Because of that reality, you have to remember the state of Florida, no state income tax, all right? So the difference in numbers all of a sudden dwindle even more significantly, and then you're talking about signing a 4-year deal with an opt-out after 3 where the numbers don't change because Carmelo's only 30. Okay. So you're talking about he's looking for another contract beyond 3 years from now. So all of a sudden, Miami, the possibility to win championships with LeBron being in that spotlight, et cetera, and the endorsement dollars that him with his astute, business savvy, beautiful wife Lala know how to manipulate their way into that equation. You've got a situation where you can't rule it out. You can't definitively say there's less money for Carmelo Anthony. If LeBron and the Miami Heat presented themselves as an option for Melo and he could get his $96 million from Miami, I don't rule that out at all. It's a toss-up as to what would happen. Yep. And dare I say Miami might have the edge.
They might, and I would agree with that. Okay, before we move any farther, let's deal with the Cleveland option here. Our Chris Broussard, for whom we both have, all three have great respect.
Sure.
Tweeted last night that it was strictly a gut feeling on his part after doing lots of interviews, talking to a lot of insiders around this situation in both Cleveland and in the LeBron camp, that the wind might be blowing. He said, I'm not sourcing this.
Sure.
I'm not trying to report this. It's just gut feeling. Right. The wind might starting to be blowing in LeBron's favor of returning to Cleveland. That carries weight to me, Chris Broussard, who worked in Cleveland and knows LeBron through his Cleveland connections. And I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on that. I believe, and I could be dead wrong about this, that LeBron and company want the message out there that they are seriously considering Cleveland just to pay homage to his home area, to make sure that the Cleveland fans realize, hey, I'm giving you my best shot here. I'm giving you a 50-50 shot of I'm considering you strongly. In my heart of hearts, I do not believe LeBron James would ever go back to Cleveland given the roster as it is right now. That's just my gut feeling that it's more PR, and it's great PR. And I'm not condemning the PR play, but I think it's more PR than real that he would return to Cleveland.
If LeBron doesn't go back to Cleveland, it's more so because of Dan Gilbert than the roster. If you have any doubt as to what Dan Gilbert's words towards LeBron meant
you can look them
years ago. Look them up.
Right.
Read them.
You did it on your radio
show. Think about what he said to that man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was harsh. Now, LeBron is a forgiving dude. And LeBron is the kind of guy that he moves on, and et cetera, et cetera. All of that's true. But there's certain stuff you just never let go of. And LeBron's crew matters to him, too. And there's certain stuff they can't let go of. That stuff hurt. It stung, okay? Not to say that that's going to be the be-all and end-all, but it's a factor. The roster itself, I would make the argument, is better than the one he took to the finals back in 2007. Kyrie Irving is no joke. The boy can ball. Deion Waiters is no scrub. Anderson Varejao can still play, and he's a big body, and he can do some things. Tristan Thompson and those boys can do a little something when you got LeBron James playing alongside of you. And Andrew Wiggins, whatever prognosticators have said about him, it just elevates when you don't have to worry about being double-teamed or having the focus of the attention of the pro level because LeBron is on the court with you. Yeah. That would only help his game. So it is an upside to Cleveland. The only thing, the reason why, whether it's a tweet from Broussard or Mark Stein or Winters or anybody else, the only reason that this doesn't move me is because I said this a year ago, right here, sitting in this chair with you.
You said it all along.
Cleveland is a factor. They've always been a factor. I didn't say that LeBron was leaving, but to even have them on the list, I got excoriated. The fact of the matter is Cleveland has always been on the list. He's always entertained the possibility of going home because now he's a champion and he's no longer in search of something that has eluded him. Now he's a statesman. He's an ambassador. Sure. He's a champion 2 times over. He's a 4-time league MVP. Really, it's just about being in the best situation. His family, they still live in Akron in the off season for a reason. Okay? And it is what it is. Again, I wouldn't give them the edge over on Miami, but I'm not ignoring the possibility that he could end up going back home. Because you talk about one of the great sports stories. Could you imagine? Cleveland hasn't won a championship on any level since the 60s.
Right.
LeBron goes back home and brings a championship to this team for the first time in franchise history. An incredible story. Now, that may not be enough because, again, for me personally, and then maybe it's just my own thing, but I pride myself in my ability to be able to vibe with dudes. I just don't see how somebody could go from South Beach to Cleveland. That's just me.
Yeah, but he's from the area.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Right.
But look. Ain't a lot of people from L.A., but once you go to L.A.,
I know.
It kind of changes.
You
know what I'm saying? You get addicted to the weather, the palm trees, the breeze. You saw the finals. You saw how we were when we were walking down South Beach. It was heaven. You understand?
It was
I mean, it was heaven.
It was
for
heaven.
you, it was.
It wasn't heaven for you.
Yeah, not for me.
Hey.
They were chanting against me. They were screaming. They wanted me to jump in the pool.
All I'm trying to, well, yeah, I'm sure you had a problem with that.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that South Beach, Cleveland. I just don't know how anybody. That's just me.
What
That's
was
just me.
LeBron's wife's tweet of a few weeks back? We can't wait to get back home, quote unquote.
Yeah, sure.
To Akron, right?
By the way, on a separate note, she's got a beautiful smoothie spot, health smoothies in Miami. It's marvelous.
Yeah.
Savannah James, LeBron's. She got the juice. Oh, so I went there. I go back now.
You will?
Every time.
Okay, two last quick
Every
points.
time.
Number one, I'll
Great
give
spot.
you that this Cleveland roster might be slightly better than the one he took to the finals, but only slightly.
Yeah.
And not
But the
good
young
enough
Skip.
to be a legit contender
Time
where
out.
you'd say,
Wait,
oh, they're going to win it all.
You're wrong. Let me tell you why. The East.
Oh, I know.
It's the East by default. By default, if LeBron goes on Cleveland's squad, they're one of the favorites to come out of the East.
Are they
by
better
default.
than the Bulls right now?
Say what?
With the Bulls, without Carmelo, just as is.
No.
If Derrick Rose can come back.
If Derrick Rose can come back, they're not better than the Bulls, but they are better than the Bulls if they get LeBron. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Okay, but I'm saying if LeBron goes to this Cleveland roster,
Yes.
do you think plus LeBron that would be better than what's left in Chicago with Derrick Rose?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, you know why? Because Derrick Rose is your only scorer. That's why.
I think you underestimate that 07 Cleveland roster, but that's a whole other issue that would take us 15 more minutes to dissect.
That's right.
Last quick question. Last quick question.
Yeah.
The one shocking story of our time away was that LeBron wants the max. I don't get that. He wants rings. He is chasing Michael Jordan, and it's a long way to go. Why would you demand the max? Why wouldn't you say, I will take the league minimum right now?
Combination. Well, first of all, let's not go extreme and talk about the league minimum.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, why wouldn't you? I would. That's what I would say. If I could make that kind of money,
you would not.
Off the court,
No, you would not.
I would too.
I don't care. Listen, you ain't giving up $100 million. The minimum?
Hey,
are you crazy?
Hey, I've saved a little money. I've done okay.
Forget all that. LeBron made $70 million last year. He's notoriously frugal with his money.
He off the court?
I don't care. It's principle. If I'm the top talent, listen.
You want rings or principle?
If I'm the top talent in the world, I understand shaving a little bit. I may not need the max, but I'll be damned if I'm going to the minimum. You need to stop smoking or drinking that Diet Mountain Dew.
I do drink
you need to stop that.
And I drank a lot of Dew in that.
But I will say this. If you're LeBron, it's also, this is a fact, and this is not a big deal. We don't need to get into this, but you got a players association that, for all intent and purposes, got to hand it to them a little bit with collective bargaining.
I agree.
You don't want your players in position to take the max passing on that. You see what I'm saying? You want them to capitalize. You put those stipulations within the collective bargaining agreement for a reason. And you don't want guys just passing up the max.
Okay.
Remember, one of their biggest agendas was to make sure a big three was never assembled again. It wasn't LeBron's intention, and I don't fault him for it. But the whole decision thing, that infuriated owners, and it galvanized them even more to go to that negotiating table and make sure they position themselves to make sure to prohibit a big three from being able to happen again. That's what's going on here right now.
Okay, but the Players Association doesn't care about rings. LeBron should care about rings.
But league minimums? League minimums.
And he does.
Why not? I mean, seriously.
You need to stop.
Well, how much more money can you spend?
You know what? There's always a way to spend more money.
Well, you say that.
You got to be a capitalist, Skip. This is America.
According to media reports, LeBron James is planning to meet with several teams face-to-face this week. He's also scheduled to be in Las Vegas for a Nike-sponsored camp as well. James looking for max dollars on his contract. Our Brian Windhorst is here to give us the latest on LeBron James. So much to talk about. First of all, tell us what you know coming out of his camp.
Okay, so, and Stephen A. knows this, Rich, Paul, his agent, Maverick Carter, his lead advisor, the guys who are really close to him, they're on lockdown. They said, this is what our plan is going to be. He's going to take a vacation. He's going to come back and potentially listen to pitches, and he's going to make up his mind. That's all I really know. That and that he wants the max contract. And in a story like this is not like a guy getting traded, or maybe the guy got an injury and needs surgery. A story like this, where I come from, you got to be darn sure.
Okay.
So even though people in Cleveland are going crazy and people in Miami are sweating, I don't think we're there yet. I don't, and
neither do I.
Yeah, so I think that LeBron is definitely looking at Cleveland, and I think one of the interesting things, Dan Gilbert's infamous letter is existed on the Cavs website. I know because I checked it last night just to see. It's been there for 4 years, actually 3 years and 300 some odd days. It took it off this morning.
Really?
So the Cavs feel like they got a chance here, and I think that they are in the game. But by no means is this over. Now let's talk about LeBron's schedule. He is scheduled to fly to Vegas today. Now he flies on private jets. He doesn't fly on American Airlines, Stephen A.
Which is why he can't get legal.
I never said he did.
So I know you fly American out of Miami. So he can go whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's scheduled to go to Vegas today. He's got a 3-day camp.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, he is scheduled to go to Brazil for the World Cup final. He is scheduled to be in Brazil for 2 days. Scheduled, okay? So somewhere in there, LeBron could make up his mind. He's scheduled to go to China on the 20th, actually probably the 19th. So he's got a kind of a tight schedule here. And then there's a secondary thing that if he's going to make up his mind about where he's going to go, he's going to want free agents maybe to come with him, even if they're, like, for example, I think Ray Allen would be very interested in playing with LeBron no matter where he goes.
That's right.
So even if LeBron goes to Cleveland, I think Ray Allen might be interested in that. So he's got a responsibility to himself and his new team to make up his mind. So I think decisions are going to start to come into place here just because of his scheduling.
Okay.
Okay, question. Just to requalify you for our viewers, you have covered LeBron James since he was in diapers or somewhere?
Basketball diapers, age 14,
basketball
1999,
diapers.
since the last century, sir.
Okay. So you obviously have your Cleveland sources and connections, and I'm going to ask for an educated guess from you at this moment that could change 2 seconds from now. How real do you believe LeBron's interest in returning to Cleveland really is?
I think LeBron James will play in Cleveland again. I've been saying it for a long time. I'm still not convinced it's going to be this year.
time.
I actually think a victory for the Heat, and maybe a long-term victory for the Cavs right now, is LeBron takes a 1-year deal. Sees what Andrew Wiggins does, sees what Kyrie Irving does, sees what David Blatt, the new coach, does. The Cavs have some maneuverability on their roster. They can you can always create salary cap space for a guy like LeBron James. They have 3 first-round draft picks next year.
Potentially, right?
Potentially.
Yeah.
And, who knows? Maybe one of the... They have a pick with Memphis that could be a lottery pick. I think there's a chance he could do that, just sort of like... And it might, and not just the Cavs, but come back on a 1-year deal. Because I don't think he's got great options right now, to be honest with you. When he opted out of his contract 2 weeks ago, I feel like he was saying, somebody show me something. Nothing has happened in the league. The league's been on... The other thing is, this is not a good free agent class. After you get past Melo, LeBron, and Bosh, I mean, with all due respect to Kyle Lowry, he's one of the top unrestricted free agents on the market. He's never been an all-star.
Okay, before Stephen A. jumps in, how competitive do you think this Cleveland roster is at this second?
They should be a playoff team, but I don't know how Andrew Wiggins is going to be. I mean, I got guys in the league telling me they picked the wrong guy. They should have picked Jabari Parker.
I agree.
You know how I feel about Jabari Parker.
So, again, I will say this. LeBron knows more of what the Cavs are than what the Heat are. Because the Heat are selling him smoke. Yeah, we'll have Wade and Bosh, and then what? So at least if I'm LeBron, I'm looking at the Cavs and saying, okay, I know they've got Wiggins, and he's on there for 5 years. Kyrie Irving's there for 6 years. They got 3 first-round draft picks. They got an owner who will not balk at paying the luxury tax, which is not necessarily the case in Miami because they have balked at the tax. So there are some certainties in Cleveland that don't exist, but I can't say for sure that this Cavs roster is a championship roster. And here's the thing, and we'll talk about what Riley's going to say to him. I think they're probably going to meet today. In 2010, we love hearing the story about Riley dumping the rings on the table. That's not why LeBron went to Miami. LeBron didn't go to Miami because of a Pat Riley speech. I mean, it's a nice story, and we've all heard Pat Riley speak. It's compelling. It's amazing.
Sure.
LeBron went to Miami because of Wade and Bosh. That's why he went. And to get LeBron out of Miami, it's going to take, I think, a compelling roster. I just don't know if the Cavs are there.
LeBron went to Miami because of Wade. Bosh was a part of the mix. They made that decision in advance. They knew exactly what they were going to do. Riley had little to nothing to do with it. Dwayne Wade deserves a boatload of credit for that. That's why that's a part of his legacy. With that being said, here's the deal. You know this. LeBron has a bit of trepidation because of the health of Dwayne Wade. That's changed his entire mentality towards Miami. Also, you have to remember that, according to what I've been told over the years, listen, I have always lauded and praised the Miami Heat for being a first-class organization. I think Pat Riley is a champion, the ultimate motivator, and a credit to this profession and an inspiration to me personally. But that doesn't mean that he didn't rub them the wrong way at one time or another in terms of his unwillingness to ingratiate himself with the crew. And to LeBron, that meant something. Okay. And it still means something. And so when you combine that with that happening at the beginning, and then at the end, the press conference with Riley sitting there like, are you going to duck and run and all that stuff? That
a major misstep.
That was a huge misstep because let me tell you something about LeBron. Okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. LeBron sitting back like, who the hell does he think he's talking to? That was clearly about me. That was clearly about me. Well, that wasn't about anybody else.
So you both think this was a bad idea?
It was a disaster.
Wow. Riley is talking about how everybody's a family. We're going to be the godfather to each other's children.
That's right.
And then he follows it up by saying LeBron's wife is expecting. LeBron was trying to keep that quiet. Okay. That was not supposed to get out.
Yes.
And then not only that she's expecting, but she's having a daughter. And I know this. I'm not a part of LeBron James' family. I knew he was trying to keep it quiet.
I knew he was trying to keep it quiet.
I'm not saying that's going to force LeBron out of Miami. No. I'm just saying for Pat Riley to say we're a family, and then in the next sentence say that, give up a piece of information that would not leave the family.
Let me modify that. You're right. But that's an honest mistake.
Okay, that's a fair point.
That's an honest mistake on the part of Pat Riley. The problem was with everything else he said.
Right.
It's like, you going to cut and run? Just going to run out? I mean, and then went down the list. Went to the Lakers, went to the Celtics with Bird and the boys, went to the Bulls with Pippen and Jordan and them, went to, I mean, he went down the list of every champion, Skip, from the 80s through the 90s to this decade. This guy went through the list. They didn't cut and run. You're not going to win every year. So what, you lost? You got to look at yourself. And let me tell you something. I am speaking as a point of fact. Trust me when I say this. LeBron James sat there and was like, that press conference was about me. Because Bosh had already been on the record saying he don't want to leave. And Wade clearly ain't trying to leave.
Okay.
You were talking about one man. And that was offensive to LeBron.
Why should it be offensive?
Because
I loved it.
Well, let me tell you something.
I thought it was great. It was great, but
it was a great speech.
It was an audience of one, and that one didn't like it.
It was a great speech, but it was an audience of one. One person didn't like it, and the one person that didn't like it, Skip, forget the fact that he's the best player in the world. Forget the fact that he's your best player. He's also a dude that played 1,400 more minutes than D-Wade and 400 more minutes than Chris Bosh. Yeah. So he's looking at the minutes he logged, the work that he put in, the commitment to excellence that he displayed, and because he is exercising his freedom granted to you during negotiations, you calling him out. That's a problem.
Why is it a problem? Why isn't it productive?
Because, well, listen, I don't, and let me say this. I'm not one of those guys that felt like Pat Riley was a hypocrite. I don't feel that way. He's an executive for the Miami Heat. He was making his pitch publicly. But I will acknowledge that when you pointed out how he left the New York Knicks by fax, okay, you got executives as well as coaches that apply rules and stipulations and perceptions to players that they don't apply to themselves. People could have accused Pat Riley of cutting and running. People could have accused him of not staying the course.
They did.
They did. So what I'm saying to you is that when that kind of stuff is on your resume, But you are using that at this moment to try and basically guilt LeBron into staying. LeBron is
why do you use the negative word guilt? Why don't you say challenge him to stay?
Well, again, because you're challenging him to do what exactly? LeBron is sitting there saying, I've accepted the challenge over the last 4 years. Are you going to build a team? Because one of the things that's not, and I'm going to lead this to you, Brian, one of the things that has gone unnoticed, you and I have acknowledged, this Miami Heat team was about D. Wade. Mm-hmm. He is the one who did this. So when you're passing up on the Mike Millers of the world and others to save money on your luxury tax and all of this other stuff, LeBron and them was sitting back and then they opt out. This is the number one thing that hit their head. What you going to do now, Ross? You the man. Mm-hmm. You the president. It's your show. We done cleared the decks for you. You got $55 million in cap space and NBA record. What you going to do?
Okay.
So in other words, don't try to switch it to them. They looking at you because D. Wade is the one that did that last time, not you. So now you had D. Wade doing that last time, and now here we are, since you were there, willing to take the credit. Now, are you going to show up and handle business and assemble a squad?
Okay, and I gave you my theory in our opening block.
But that's what LeBron's saying.
My theory is, I don't know if you heard us, but I'm just educated guessing on this, that Pat Riley would quietly call in Chris Bosh and say, we don't want you back. You should take the money and run to Houston, clear this slot for Carmelo Anthony. Obviously, that's the quickest fix out there.
Yeah, okay, there's a couple issues with that. First off, who's their big man?
You just figure that out.
I know, but from a basketball sense, that's a hard sell. I understand what you're saying. If Kobe wouldn't have taken, I don't want to get into this, but if Kobe wouldn't have taken that contract, they all could have played in L.A.
Yeah.
If Kobe just would have taken $15 million, they all could have played in L.A.
Okay.
So there's another topic. Melo also, like LeBron, wants the max. They both don't fit.
And I don't get why he wants the max, but
but that's where they are.
All right.
So that makes it difficult. I think Riley irked him. I think Mickey Arison irked him by cutting Mike Miller.
Okay.
And some other moves they didn't spend money.
So is this enough to leave Miami?
Right. I think Wade's injury history concerns him.
I think you're leaning toward he's out, right?
It comes down to the roster.
Okay.
All that stuff.
It's about the roster.
It's got to be the roster. And so, but we got a chicken and egg problem here. In 2010, we had 5 guys. LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Mike Miller, Udonis Haslem. All 5 of them said, we're taking long-term deals. We're going to commit here for 4 years. We're going to figure out this money. We're not doing that this time. These guys are not on the same page. And it's not Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem. Now it's guys like Pau Gasol, Luol Deng, Kyle Lowry. They can't get those guys into the tent to work this out. And so when Riley meets with him, whether it's today or tomorrow or Wednesday, I don't know what he's going to sell them. And that's the real thing. Because the only thing you can sell is talent, and they don't have it.
Exactly. And don't think for a second, I'm not trying to imply that LeBron is sitting here saying, this man said this about me, I don't like him. He has profound respect for Pat Riley. He has profound respect for the Miami Heat organization. How can you not? But you can't issue challenges to others without embracing them yourself.
All right, fine.
And so if LeBron, because you got to remember, Skip, it's not like LeBron. Remember, you wanted to keep the Mike Millers of the world. You wanted modifications in the roster. LeBron was under contract, so he's sitting back saying what you're going to do. But now as a free agent, he doesn't have the luxury of time. He has to make a decision, which means that whatever you show him, you should have been trying to show him. Larry, there's no doubt, and good Lord, I can't stand being critical of Pat Riley because I have so much respect for him. But I got to tell you, he's dropped the ball over the last 2 years in terms of buffering Miami's bench.
All right, that's fair.
He didn't want to cut Mike Miller. He went all the way to the wall. And
I understand
it was a money
that.
issue. Okay, so for discussion's sake, let's just assume that LeBron's bridge has been burned to Pat Riley. Let's just assume that. Where would be his next landing spot? What's your best guess?
That's the thing, Skip. I don't think there's a good option. I think when he opted out, he said, show me an option, somebody, and nobody has. Okay. The best move that's been made is Kyrie Irving's contract extension, and that wasn't adding talent. And so that's why I don't think this is over in Miami. Also, lesson I learned, never underestimate the Heat, never underestimate Pat Riley. Let's see what happens.
That is true.
Okay. I can see which way the wind is blowing. but I'm not ready to say he's leaving Miami. I'm just not there.
And if I thought he wanted to go to Texas, that would be different because, you know, they could make some things happen, especially if they get rid of Jeremy Lin's contract, $14.8 million. But I will say to you, I just, listen, I can't rule anything out because this is LeBron we're talking about. They'll talk to you about how Phoenix was impressive. Don't give me that LeBron's going to the desert. I ain't trying to hear that. I just ain't trying to hear it. I just don't believe it. I got to see that to believe it. But at the same time, when I think about Texas, when I think about Houston, I think about Dallas, I say to myself, well, you know what, you just never know. But I think those are long shots. In the end, to me, it comes down to him staying in Miami or him going to Cleveland or L.A. And L.A. obviously.
Okay, Brian, quick thought on L.A. Give us like a scale of 1 to 10. What are the chances he goes to L.A.?
We're in the single percent.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right.
That's right.
Well, over the weekend, media reports that the Lakers, look at that, that's a nice car, emerged as the top threat to the Knicks for Carmelo Anthony. This after the Lakers offered Melo the max deal, while Kobe, Melo, and Kevin Love reportedly played a pickup game at UCLA. Our Mark Stein is reporting that today is a soft deadline for Melo to make a decision. All things fluid, as we've mentioned, with free agency. But we asked this question specifically to the Lakers. We know that there are the big agents out there. What if the Lakers wind up with nothing after free agency?
I think that would be very, very sad. These are the Lakers we're talking about here. Purple and gold, Laker Nation. Second only to the Boston Celtics is the more renowned franchise in the history of this sport. And I think that when you consider the quality GM that Mitch Kupchak has proven to be, when you consider the locale, when you consider Kobe Bryant being their star, Jeannie Buss running this organization, it's just the ultimate indictment against Jim Buss. You can't ignore Kobe because he's a star, and just like you have guys that want to go and play with a LeBron or somebody else, you got to ask the question, shouldn't people be anxious to go and play with Kobe Bryant, particularly with the money that's available because the Lakers have under their cap? But in my opinion, it really comes down to Jim Buss. And the reason why it comes down to Jim Buss is because of one reason and one reason only. If Dr. Buss were alive today and still running the Lakers organization, you can't convince me that at least one, if not two superstars would be coming to Los Angeles. You just can't convince me of that. I can't. There's no way. And so that's what this really comes down to. The Lakers are in a bad spot because the Lakers' presentation has been magnificent. Everybody's been raving about it and them. Obviously, they've got cap space. They still have Kobe Bryant. And yet and still, they can end up empty-handed. No LeBron, no Melo, no trade for Kevin Love. If they can't pull something off, I just don't know what that says, but it ain't good. Whatever it's saying, it's not good because somehow, some way, when it comes to the Lakers, historically, you always felt something would get done.
Right.
It's the Lakers.
Confidence.
Something to get done. Somehow, someone. They might have a down year, but something will get done. That's not how you feel right now. They don't even have a coach. And I understand their argument is, we got to assemble our roster, then we'll know what coach is best suited. That's not how this usually works. It's not how this usually works. And the fact that they're deviating from the norm has Jim Buss written all over it. And it's just not a good thing. Just isn't.
Let me tell you why I'm not objective in answering this question. And Ms. Champion will be able to relate to this. I love L.A. I was just out there over our forced vacation that we were forced to take.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You were forced.
Yeah.
I was forced. I don't like vacation.
Voluntarily. It didn't bother me one bit.
Now, I will say I spent most of my time in Palm Springs, but that's a whole other issue. But I love
the desert.
Through LA. I
do
too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never been.
So my point is, when I first heard, while in the desert, that there was even a remote possibility that LeBron and Carmelo could join Kobe and Gasol in Los Angeles playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm like, why not?
It makes sense.
I'm good. like I'm good to go because I can't listen. As much as I love New York, I love L.A. more.
Right.
And to me, that when I read that Carmelo has been living and training in Los Angeles and not in New York City through the summertime when New York is great in the summer.
He's been living in L.A. for years.
Okay, but I'm just saying, it was driven home to me, oh yeah, he spends his off seasons in L.A. Well, what's not to like about this? It is still the Lakers. You can have the Clippers all you want. You were bullish all year on the Clippers. I'm sorry. That town, at heart, still belongs to the Lakers, not the Dodgers. This is just me, and I worked there early in my career. For 3 years, I covered all those teams. It is a Laker town at heart. It is just waiting to re-explode over the newly built Los Angeles Lakers. Every criticism you have leveled at Jim Buss is valid. I buy everything you have said. It gets a little harsh every once in a while, but it's still extremely valid. I cannot discount any point you have made about Jim Buss. I do like Mitch Kupchak, and I agree. How much are his hands tied? You know, I don't know.
What can he do?
But again, would I still, despite the fact that Dr. Buss is no longer with us and with them, would I still want to play for this team? Yes, I would.
So would I.
So if I'm LeBron James and Melo, if I'm LeBron right now and I have a chance to take a little less money to play in Kobe's last couple of years with Kobe Bryant and Carmelo in Los Angeles, thank you, God. No, seriously, this would be a thank you, God, for me, but I'm not objective here because I can't imagine what's not to like about that prospect.
They don't have enough max for both guys.
Okay, well, I know that, but you can still. Okay, yeah, I know. Kobe did himself in with that contract or whatever, and I know it was one of those, we need to repay you for all you have done, but still, is there a chance? Is there still a remote chance that financially you could make this work if both guys would sacrifice greatly? Yes, there is. You know there is. Both would have to make big sacrifices. Now, Carmelo would really have to make a sacrifice.
But why sacrifice when if you're Melo, you can stay in New York and LeBron can do a one-year deal and meet you there in a year?
Maybe.
I'm saying he could choose to. He could choose to because the New York Knicks will have cap space.
Okay.
So you could choose to. You know, why do that? Okay, and you know, because you can make the money in New York and you don't have to give up what you have to give up. And you have to remember why Jim Buss is a problem. Remember, sometimes I'm harsh on Jim Buss for this reason and this reason alone. It's not because he makes mistakes. That's part of life, and we're all human. My problem with Jim Buss is that he lets his personal decision, his personal feelings get in the way of business. He has clearly done that with the Los Angeles Lakers, with the hirings he has done. And the fact that you would allow your ego to usurp Laker Nation and what your father built is criminal to me, and that is the problem.
Okay, now allow me to tack on to this, the addendum that even if those two joined Kobe and Gasol in Los Angeles, you are still in the Western Conference. And even though the producers have denied my ability to talk about the Spurs today, I'm going to bring it up. They told me I can't talk about the Spurs. I'm going to say the Spurs have just re-signed not only Patty Mills, but Boris Diaw. So they should be the favorites going into next year. I think they should be prohibitive favorites, but that's just me.
That's fine, but they've never won back-to-back.
Okay, fine. But they are positioned to win back-to-back.
They were in the past to win back-to-back.
And by the way, that kid they drafted at the bottom of the first round from your school named Kyle Anderson, remember that?
Good,
Okay, he's only the best passer in the draft and one of the better rebounders in the draft at 6'9". So you only got better everywhere. You were the deepest team now. Okay, so the problem is, even with those guys in L.A., I wouldn't make them the favorites. But again, if I am LeBron today and Carmelo today, and I have a chance, you want to talk about the Beatles, the Heatles in Miami? If they join, you don't think that would be the biggest story in the history of the NBA? If those two joined Kobe Bryant for his swan song last couple of years?
That would be phenomenal.
My God.
You have me excited.
I know. I know. It gets me excited. I'm getting goosebumps.
That would be phenomenal. But again, and you know, here's what Laker Nation needs to realize. If Dr. Buss were alive, it would probably happen.
It probably would happen.
It would probably happen.
All right, Lakers have 4 players under contract: Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Robert Sacre, and first-round pick Julius Randle. What are we going to do with Steve Nash?
You try to convince him to give, walk away. But Steve Nash is unapologetic. He is already on the record. He likes the money. And he's owed $9.7 million. He ain't trying to go away. So unless you can get somebody to take that contract off his books.
And they still owe Karl Malone and Peyton and those guys
remember?
some money. Yes.
Remember? Cleveland Browns wideout Josh Gordon was arrested Saturday for driving while impaired, according to Raleigh police. Gordon was doing 50 and a 35 with a blood alcohol content that was listed at .09. North Carolina state limit is .08. Gordon is already facing a minimum year-long ban for violating the league's substance abuse policy. RG3 tweeted this when the news broke. Through all the trials and tribulations, Josh Gordon is still family to me. We'll continue to try and help him, not tear him down. And former Browns captain DeQuell Jackson made this plea. If you're close to Josh Gordon, please help this kid. It's not about football anymore. It's about picking up the pieces of his life. We've had Josh Gordon on the show a few times. Skip Bayless, in your opinion, Stephen A. Smith, rather, not him as we point. Stephen A. Smith still on vacation. How much do you think this will damage his future?
America's the land of second chances. Right. Especially in the world of sports. And how old is this guy, Skip? 23? You don't shut the door on somebody forever. I mean, mass murderers, people like that, sure. But you don't shut the door on individuals with problems at the age of 23. With that being said, I'm done with Josh Gordon. I'm done with him. I hope that he resurrects himself and gets straight, but I harbor no sympathy for him whatsoever. And anybody who disagrees with me, tough. I'll get over it. There's a codeine test, that he failed in 2013. You couldn't stay off the weed, okay, at Baylor, and then afterwards,
at Utah.
Okay, that's right, Utah, right?
Utah,
okay, and so, and then now, I mean, before I was like, stay off the weed. Now it's DWI. I mean, damn.
Right.
I mean, what is it? What's next? What's next? I don't know. Codeine, weed, alcohol. What's next? What's next? I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to hear anything about. Do y'all? I challenge anybody in this country to show me codeine, weed, alcohol that's worth millions of dollars. Now, I'm listening to Coach Herm Edwards on Mike and Mike earlier this morning. We all know how much I love and respect the coach. Who doesn't? Coach, this is sports. Got a problem. Got a problem. You got to help, I want to hear that. What about your family? What about the people that you love, that you are providing for, that have loved you, supported you, stood by you the whole bit? This stuff is a choice. Now, if it were crack cocaine, maybe I would feel a little bit different, because obviously people that were stupid enough to try that, they got caught. Okay? And I mean, they got caught up. I mean, you can't shake that. You can't shake that.
Sure.
But there are plenty of people who smoke weed and got off of it when they realized it was going to cost them millions. There are plenty of people who, alcohol is a big time addiction.
Big time.
But somehow, some way, there have been people able to shake that, particularly when there are millions of dollars at stake. There is no 9-to-5 job unless this brother becomes astute on Wall Street. There is no 9-to-5 job that's going to pay this man this kind of money. And if you want to sip on some codeine, like it's another form of syrup, you want to sit there and stay on the weed, you want to get in your car with the DWI in Raleigh, North Carolina, my neck of the woods from college. Oh, they'll pull you over quick in a heartbeat for that stuff. You want to do all of that stuff? God bless you. You deserve what you get. I'm tired of all of this sympathy stuff. We want to sit here and talk about having influence on young minds, right? Well, how are we going to influence a future generation in a positive fashion by constantly coming up with excuses and giving passes to nothing short of flagrant idiocy? No, he ain't getting it from me. I told you months ago I was done with him. And I'm going to repeat it again. I don't care that he got a problem. Fix the damn thing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I am going to disagree with you, and you will get over it, as you said earlier.
Yes, I will.
Okay. There is no doubt in my mind that Josh Gordon just went from very bad to worst. I think this might qualify as what they call hitting bottom. Because I'm pretty sure that in his appeals meeting that's supposed to be in the near future with the NFL, he will not only be denied now his appeal, that he wants to reduce his ban to, say, 6 games next year. I'm pretty sure Josh will be gone for the entire football season, this coming football season, and that his NFL career is now in doubt. We have had, as you pointed out, Josh on this show a couple of times. I've spent a little bit of time talking to him off camera, and to those with him, his brother, for one. I always like what I hear from him. When I look him in the eye, I see a sharp young man with a decent heart. And you know how I always try, I know this is simplistic, but I sort of split the world into you have a good heart or you have a bad heart. I covered a lot of players who went south, and I just knew them, and I knew they had bad hearts, and they'll never get it, and they never got it, and they never made it. I just have a feeling, though I don't have sympathy for Josh Gordon at this moment, I do have about that much hope for him. But he's going to have to get it right here, right now. And it's going to take a big rehab stint. It's going to take coming completely to terms and telling the world, I got a problem. Because I think he has a big problem, whether it's alcohol or codeine mixed with whatever, what do they call it, drank, you know? Yeah. Okay, whether that's the problem, whether it's just flat out marijuana, which can lead to some addiction problems, depending on what kind of marijuana you smoke. I think he has association problems because that guy who bailed him out the other night in Raleigh, that Fats Thomas, you know, who was, remember the P.J. Hairston issues at North Carolina when P.J. was a Tar Heel? And remember, this Fats Thomas in 2013 pleaded guilty to charges of possession of a firearm by a felon, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and possession of drug paraphernalia. That is the guy who bailed out Josh Gordon, I should say Saturday night. It was Sunday early morning in Raleigh, North Carolina, your old neck of the woods. This is not a good sign. That's the man you are associating with who bailed you out. So we got all kinds of layers of problems here, but I feel like having looked in that young man's eyes, and maybe he duped me. Maybe he misled me.
Look,
I got a feeling he is savable.
And let me tell you how y'all fall for the okie doke.
Okay.
Let me break this
I liked him too.
Let me break this down to you. Who said I didn't like Josh Gordon?
No,
I know that. I'm just speaking rhetorically.
Yeah.
I like Josh Gordon. I looked in his eyes to Skip Bayless. I saw a nice guy. You understand? Why do you think I'm going off on him?
I saw a smart guy.
I'm going off on him not because I take any enjoyment. I'm ticked.
Okay.
I'm ticked
you
that you
right.
could do this to yourself and your family and the Cleveland Browns. You got teammates relying on you.
Yep.
You got a new coach. You got an organization that has stood by you, and you're throwing them to the woodshed. Why? Because you can't stay off the sauce, whatever sauce it is.
Whatever.
Come on now. This is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. You get to a point where you ain't doing dudes a favor when you explain it away. Well, you know, they got a nice heart. Well, you know what? So what?
Okay.
So what? How stupid can you be? I'm ticked off at Josh Gordon. If I was in his face, he'd probably want to hit me. Fine. Then you get arrested. And, you know, and that'll be that. And by the way, I hit back. The point that I'm trying to make to you is this. It doesn't matter whether it's him or anybody else. I'm sitting up here going like this. You are a brother with these opportunities.
Right.
We constantly lament, particularly in our community, the paucity of opportunities that are available to us, how we are constantly climbing, and we have to deal with adversity.
And may I add a quick point, please? The football player I saw last year on the football field,
big time.
I'm talking about, I saw a Hall of Fame pass. I saw a pass.
That's right. This dude is special.
Yeah.
So you have all of this, and you can't control yourself? Nah, man. No. You don't help Josh Gordon by going on TV and going like this. He's got a good heart. No. So what? You're a kind guy.
Okay,
and
But you're saying if you ran the Browns today, you just cut them, right?
I'm saying
you said you're done with him.
I'm saying to you, he would be gone because that's what he needs.
He needs that tough
because keeping him and protecting him ain't helping him. You know what he also is? He's a deceiver. Remember,
I know.
He came on our show, and then 2 weeks, what was it, 2 weeks later we found out about the weed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One day we had him on the phone from Miami,
Wait a minute.
and we heard later that day about
it.
was.
So the brother knew. He knew what he had tested for.
He
knew what trouble he was coming. Look, man. Look, you got to stop. Look, you can't help Josh Gordon by being an apologist. People make mistakes all the time until the mistakes are repetitive. Then you know what they are? It's who you are. They ain't mistakes anymore.
Okay.
When you do something over and over again,
it's who you are.
It defines who you are.
Okay, are you predicting that he's a lost cause for the rest of his career?
I'm telling you, he's a lost cause if you protect him on this. He's got to suffer. He's got to hit rock bottom. Hit rock bottom ain't getting busted. People apologizing for you. Oh, you'll be better. No. Hit rock bottom is hit rock bottom.
Okay, so do you want the Browns to suffer for the next team that benefits from the Browns?
Well, again, like Mike Golick explained to me this morning, the NFL may take control, suspend them for the year, where the Browns don't have to so they can retain his rights. I'm all for that. What I'm trying to say is this brother has got to be called on the carpet. Your talent is elite. Elite. This brother is big time.
Okay.
And you're blowing it.
Okay, all I'm saying is you're saying you're done, which I have to define as lost cause. And I'm not done because I don't think he's a lost cause.
What I'm saying I'm done is I'm not making any excuses for him. I'm done.
Apologizing.
No apologies. No. It's a problem. Please. Ain't a problem. You know what the problem is? You can't stay off the sauce. Weed, codeine, syrup, whatever it is, whatever concoction you put forth. I'm done. I'm done with explanations. He's got a problem. Fix the damn thing. Because other people are suffering, not just him.
2 games at the start of last season. Skip Bayless believes that he will be gone for the entire football season. More on Josh.
And those same brothers that's sitting there saying be there for him, last time I checked, none of them were broke. So feel free to pay his bills. Take care of him. Bring him in. He said you want everybody to look out for him, right? Take care of him. Take care of him. Let's see how sympathetic you are then.
There you go.
It's ridiculous.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
The Boston Red Sox have won the World Series.
The new college football playoff.
The Seminoles have completed the perfect season.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
It's been said that you can't go home again, but don't tell King James that or the Cavs. Our Mark Stein and Brian Windhorst are reporting that the Cavs believe that LeBron James is seriously considering their pitch. In the meantime, LeBron is meeting with Pat Riley in the coming days, and he will have a face-to-face with several other teams this week, Miami, Cavs, Lakers, or Dallas. We asked you to vote on where you thought LeBron would end up. The results are in, and you all believe it's the Cavs. Basically, then the Heat, Lakers, Mavericks. They have spoken. The people have spoken. Skip Bayless, take that information and let it simmer. Best landing place for LeBron.
I disagree with our viewers, voters. I do not think there's any way, shape, or form that LeBron plays in Cleveland this next basketball season. I agree with Brian Windhorst. Maybe later, maybe in a year, maybe in 3 years. Not this year. Stephen, I'm going to answer this from a basketball character point of view.
Okay.
I think LeBron's best destination is to stay put, to put his faith back in the man, Pat Riley, who assembled the Big Three in the beginning. And it did produce a couple of championships in 4 straight NBA finals. I think LeBron will stay put, and I think he should stay put in Miami. And I'm going to say this again. I loved it that Pat Riley publicly challenged LeBron James. You say offended, you say alienated, maybe.
But
I say challenged. And I loved it that Pat Riley went back through the good old days and listed all the great players who did not duck and run for cover after they lost an NBA Finals. They all bounced back, from Magic to Michael to Bird. We can go on and on. They bounced back, and they came back, and they won another NBA Finals. LeBron has been put on notice by one of the greatest coaches and greatest team builders in the history of this game, Pat Riley, for whom you have great respect. And I just hope that LeBron isn't so thin-skinned and so defensive and so egomaniacal that he lets, I don't want to see him let his ego get bent out of shape on this. I think Pat Riley challenged him for all the right reasons, and I think he should listen, and I think he should put his faith back in a man who built it to begin with and will rebuild it into a contender in the East next year.
Let's be clear about something here. When you say words like offended and all of that stuff that Pat Riley may have done in terms, I'm just articulating what people have conveyed to me.
Okay.
I certainly viewed it as a challenge. I didn't really have much of a problem with Pat Riley doing that because that's Pat Riley. That's who he is. He's as real as it gets. And he's a personal inspiration to me. I love the man. Having said all of that, if you want to ask me what's the perfect destination for LeBron, I would say it depends. Because if I'm Pat Riley, you know what I do? I use LeBron to recruit. Not just signing him, come on up in here. Let's make some calls. Let's reach out to the right people. Because, again, you got to ease Bosh out the door. Let him go to Houston, make that money. He'll be much more of a viable offensive option in Houston than he ever was utilized as in Miami. Because Dwight Howard could use Chris Bosh, and they would both benefit exponentially over his arrival in Houston. You know, but once that happens, if that were to happen, then to me, I'm Pat Riley. I don't have to worry about appeasing Bosh anymore. I know that D. Wade is willing to accept the pay cut, assuming that I make the right, make the right decisions with the money that we have available to us. Now it's about, all right, LeBron, D. Wade, what do we need? What can y'all help me pull off? That's what Pat Riley needs to do. And if you're doing that, then that's more incentive for LeBron to stay because there's a personal commitment that LeBron is making, not just in the organization as a player, but he's a part of building something.
Sure.
And that's special. And I think that's the way you handle that because if it's just about resigning LeBron to the money, to the max deal, LeBron doesn't need the money like you said. He wants to be in an ideal situation where he's not going to have his career cut short because he's so taxed out because he's being asked to do far more than he ever thought that he would be asked to do. This is what you're working against if you're the Miami Heat. You have to convince LeBron that he's not going to have to endure what he has had to endure over the last 2 years.
Okay. I don't care that Pat Riley might not have, what's the best word, catered to LeBron's entourage, and I doubt that he has because that's not in his DNA.
That's not in his DNA.
Okay.
No.
I do think that organization in that city has been great to LeBron James. Is that fair?
Yes, it is.
For 4 great years.
But he's been great to them, too.
I'm with you, and I agree with that. But I think it has been a mutual great relationship that should continue. And I believe, just gut feeling, that it will continue. Do you believe that now?
Me personally, if I had to bet my money, I know better than betting against Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. They're a first-class organization, man, and nobody's flawless. I'm quite sure along the way they've made mistakes or they've done things they should not have done or whatever. Whatever. That's every organization. I know this much. I wouldn't be thinking about leaving Miami. Not that organization, not Pat Riley, but again, I looked at LeBron, and there were times where he seemed really, really tired. And the roster is everything, man. You need a roster. And Pat Riley and those guys have to show. Because remember, Pat Riley never won a title as a coach until D. Wade came along. Okay? And it was after he had to take over for Stan Van Gundy. And he took over after acquiring Shaq. And D. Wade had to average 37 points a game over the last 4 games to deliver that championship. And then it was D. Wade that went out and got LeBron and Bosh. And that's what delivered you 2 more and 4 consecutive trips to the finals. So it is, even though we applaud Pat Riley and have profound respect for him, it's not beyond the pale to have the attitude. Now it's your turn to show us because D. Wade really deserves a lot of credit for what has transpired.
I agree. Now, to reiterate for those who missed the top of the show, you have made the great point that the key domino, not the biggest domino, but the key is Bosch.
That's right.
And I'm just guessing here that it's possible Pat Riley would not want Bosch to come back to Miami, that he would encourage him quietly, not publicly, but quietly, to take the money and run to Houston so it would clear the decks for LeBron to have maybe Carmelo join him or to continue to rebuild.
Pat Riley likes Bosch. He respects Bosch. Bosch is a consummate professional, by the way. He's an incredibly nice guy, very professional, goes about the business of trying to do the best that he can. I just think that a guy like Tim Duncan exposed his limitations as a post player. He's basically a 6'10", 6'11" jump shooter.
Yeah.
That's what Bosch is.
Who did not make his three-point shots in the last 3 years.
He would help Houston, though. He would help Houston. I don't think, if I'm Pat Riley and I got a chance to get Melo, I want that more than I want Bosch.
Best landing spot. Bayless says LeBron should stay put. Stephen A. says he wouldn't bet against Miami, but he said it all depends. Our Chris Mortensen recently reported that the Cleveland Browns have not been pleased with Johnny Manziel's weekend partying and social media antics. The rookie quarterback has been told to tone it down, so to speak, but that didn't stop him from hanging out at a Beverly Hills house party last week with Justin Bieber, Floyd Mayweather, and Tyrese. They posted this. It was Biebs who actually posted it. With the boys, Floyd Mayweather, Tyrese, Johnny Manziel, #selfie. Manziel has made it clear he's actually just going to do him. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Johnny returned to Vegas over the holiday weekend to hang out again. Skip Bayless, should the Browns be concerned?
Stephen A. Smith, if I'm the Browns, and as Chris Mortensen has reported, the owner has made overtures that he wishes that Johnny would at least tone down his act before training camp. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd be at about a 6 right now. Now, personally, I still have no problem with anything Johnny has done in the way of partying. It's A-list partying, man. And again, the intriguing part of this is that Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, attracts nothing but A-listers. LeBron James, Drake, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Justin Bieber, whether you like him or not, he is an A-list performer. He is a superstar in his own right. So the thing that bothers me is that if I'm the Browns, Johnny is now flaunting it in my face. He's rubbing effectively my nose in it because I asked him to tone it down and pictures keep getting posted. Now, did he retweet the picture that got posted?
No, he
okay.
didn't. We just said that.
I thought that was on Johnny's site. I looked it up last night, but whatever.
Okay.
Johnny could go to those parties and say, guys, no pictures. I need to lay a little low here, at least until training camp. But in this case, Johnny doesn't shut anything down, and somehow the pictures always get posted by his friends or his A-list friends or whoever posts. It gets posted, and Johnny's back in the news. The pictures of him in Vegas, he posted, right? And then he goes back to Vegas over the weekend. No problem here, but you keep flaunting your partying. As I've said before, it's part of the Johnny Football package, but still, if I'm the owner of the Browns, I'm not loving it, man. Is it?
Yeah, he
reposted. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
So Johnny contributed to this with his million-something followers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The floor is yours.
What did he do? It's a picture with Floyd Mayweather Jr., the best pound-for-pound boxer on the planet, Tyrese, an accomplished actor, musician, etc.
All of it, yeah.
And Justin Bieber. He wasn't drunk, wasn't inebriated, wasn't sitting on some balloon and drinking, looking drunk and wasted. No, it was a picture. I'm just sitting there going like, people have really lost their minds.
Okay, but what if you're that owner who asked him to lay a little low?
Wait a minute. I totally agree with the owner. If Johnny is out partying and drinking, if I'm hanging out with the fellas and we took a picture, I would look at the owner and say, well, what did I do? How do you know we weren't just sitting down, chilling at Floyd's crib together and took a picture? What's the problem?
Okay, but you don't know for a fact they didn't have a drink or two. I don't know, right?
But you don't know that he did.
I don't. But you can't say he wasn't drinking.
No, I'm saying in the picture, look at the picture. All I'm saying to you is that, what did he do? I mean,
he took a photo.
He took a photo.
And he posted it.
But what I'm saying to you is he took a photo and he posted the photo. I don't believe that Johnny Manziel should be disregarding his new organization and partying and drinking and not giving a damn about what they think about his lifestyle. I respect that. So, in other words, if you had a club at 3 o'clock in the morning and you got the Cristal in your hand or whatever the case may be, or Ciroc or whatever it is, P. Diddy and them, I get that. I understand that. But we have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It is a problem when all I saw there was a picture.
A picture.
With him.
A photo.
With 3 stars. And what did he do? I'm like, it's like, has anybody taken a moment to sit there and say, who the hell do these people think they are?
Yeah.
He took a picture.
Okay.
That's what he did. It's not there's no club in the background. You know, there's no alcohol in the background.
Okay, so time out. If you are the owner of the Cleveland Browns and your quarterback, your rookie quarterback, posts that picture on his Twitter site, would you not be a little offended by that?
No, not offended. I will acknowledge to you that I might be, it would raise my eyebrow and say, I wonder what he's doing.
Sure.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that short of knowing what he was doing, all I have is the evidence, Skip. He took a picture. It's a photo. It's a photo, Skip.
Okay.
The Heisman Trophy winner, who is now a first-round pick in the NFL, took a picture. By the way, Justin Bieber's 20. Johnny's 21. If anything, I'm looking at Floyd and Tyrese, who's 37, 35, and I'm like, why are you with these kids? But at the same time, I'm not disrespecting because those are my boys, but I'm just saying, I'm not hanging out with a 20-year-old. I'm not hanging out with a 20-year-old. I'm just saying, but my goodness, he took a picture.
And so now it says, Johnny Manziel, welcome to the family. That was a good time. TMT, the money team. He's apparently a part of the money team.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a part of the money team. He's a part of LeBron's team. Whatever. What I'm saying to you is this. He took a picture. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. I believe that Johnny Manziel is about to wreck the league. Remember the text?
Yes.
I believe he's going to wreck this league, as in the National Football League.
Yes.
I do think that right now he might want to cool it just a little bit on posting the pictures.
And retweeting them.
Just listen. Johnny Manziel's got to behave himself. I don't want to see any alcohol.
Okay.
I don't want to see him at nightclubs from July, because training camp is started.
I agree.
From July through February, you don't need to be at a damn nightclub. All right? I give you that. I'm concerned if I see that.
Yeah, me too.
But we got to check ourselves when he is the subject of news because he took a picture. I mean, you got millions of people that see a Justin Bieber, a Floyd Mayweather, a Tyrese or somebody that want to take a picture. He's got all 3 of them with him. They take a picture together. Hey, y'all, they damn near said cheese. And it's a problem. It's a problem.
And where was this picture taken? In Beverly Hills.
Oh, whoa.
Okay.
So he didn't go to Vegas.
No.
He wasn't in Sin City partying.
I think he was in Vegas.
So let me get this straight. He's in Vegas. So now we got a problem with him being in Beverly Hills. So now we want to dictate geographically where he can go. What is wrong with you people?
Sure.
I'm not you people. We're talking about the owner.
Well, listen.
The owner, including the owner. The man ain't free to go to Beverly Hills. Could he afford? Did he pay for the flight?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he flew coach.
You just don't want him to retweet it. Come
on, man.
Yeah. Just cool it a little bit.
Y'all are tripping.
Have some fun.
Come on.
Well, on Saturday, Nelson Cruz went 5 for 5 in the second game of a doubleheader, helping the Orioles beat the Red Sox. Cruz had 3 of his hits off pitcher John Lackey, including a home run, single, and double. Afterwards, Lackey was asked to comment on Cruz's big game.
I'm not going to comment on him. I got nothing to say about him. There's things I would like to say, but I'm not going to. You guys forget pretty conveniently about stuff.
I think everybody needs to make sure that their own backyard's real clean, and whether there's a lot of things that you could go into and insinuate and all that stuff. You're around a lot of locker rooms, Mike. You know things that are, but we have something in place that catches people that do it.
I wonder how he'd feel if Nelson Cruz was a member of his team and hit all those home runs and they were...
Well, Mike, we could talk about this, that maybe someone like that might be. He might want to be careful.
That was Orioles manager Buck Showalter later responding to Lackey's no comment about Cruz and last year's 50-game PED suspension. The fans, however, have forgiven. It seems that Cruz is now a part of the All-Star team. Stephen A., you have a problem with that?
I do have a problem with him being an all-star, and I respectfully disagree with somebody I have profound respect for, Buck Showalter. I think he's an exceptional manager. He's doing an exceptional job with the Baltimore Orioles, and I get where he's coming from, but I think he's just coming to the defense of his own player. I definitely think it's within Lackey's right to have a problem with Nelson Cruz, assuming that Lackey is clean himself. If you're not clean yourself, then you need to shut up. But if you are clean and you don't use performance-enhancing drugs, and you never have, then I have no problem with the apparent animus that he feels towards Nelson Cruz. My position on this is clear, and this is what I have a problem with when it pertains to Major League Baseball and their policies on performance-enhancing drug use. I believe that since Nelson Cruz was suspended for the 50 games last year, that, yeah, you can come back, but there's two things. They let him play in one postseason game last year after his 50-game suspension was served.
It was the playoffs.
Yes,
for the
right.
playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah.
He should not be allowed. He should not have been allowed to participate in postseason play for that season. If you're found to be guilty of PED use in a season, you shouldn't be allowed to come back that same season.
But that rule has now been changed.
And that has now been changed. I just was saying that with point number one. Point number two is I also believe that you should not be allowed to participate in the following season's All-Star festivities. The All-Star festivities is an exhibition that is solely for the celebration of the athletes that year. And to me, how can somebody be fresh off of performance-enhancing drug use, yet be celebrated as an all-star the very next go-round? It's almost like you need a break, a little reprieve, a little sabbatical from that, per se. In other words, you go to your suspension, but once your suspension is over, you come back the next season, and you are not a participant in the All-Star festivities, because the All-Star festivities is to celebrate you. And do you really deserve to be celebrated in such short order in the aftermath of a PED suspension? I don't get that. So for me, that's why I feel the way that I feel. Nelson Cruz right now has 27 home runs. Do y'all know he's played 87 games, he's got the 27 home runs? He had 27 in 109 games he played last year. So you already have 27 homers, 22 games shy of how many games you played all of last season. I'm sorry, but in the world that we live in, considering the PED you just got busted for, forgive us if our eyebrows are raised and we're like, another 27 home runs, this time 22 games earlier than you did it last year. I find that a tad bit odd. So that's the dude you're going to send to the All-Star game to be celebrated? Bravo? I'm not so sure about that.
So you're casting doubt again on Nelson Cruz.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that at the very least, can we go ahead and play, help the Baltimore Orioles, get your paycheck, but do you really need to be celebrated All-Star weekend or the All-Star festivities?
But you're asking for the rules to be changed yet again.
I'm asking for, I don't believe that anybody that's been found guilty of PED use should be allowed to participate in the next All-Star game.
Well, all I know is that this man paid the price he was supposed to pay. 50 games last year. It was the max for a first-time offender, and he paid 50 games worth of price. Okay?
Yeah, 50 games, sure.
So the rules say that you are then eligible for the next year's All-Star game. So why would I have a problem with that? He got voted in, albeit mostly by Orioles fans, I'm assuming, because the Orioles are now, dare I say, 2 games up in your American League East?
Yes.
over your Yankees, who are trailing woefully.
Well, listen, they ain't got no pitcher right now.
Woefully
Listen,
behind.
Yankees don't have any pitcher.
Okay,
Don't get
and you can't knock the numbers that the man has put. You can raise your eyebrows all you want, but he's tied for the lead in baseball and home runs with 27.
That's
all
right.
of baseball, not
That's
just
right.
the American League.
That's it.
And he leads both leagues in RBIs with 71, and his team by 2 games is leading the American League East because he is a driving force, maybe the driving force of said team. So as big a fan as I am of John Lackey all the way back to the great games he pitched against the Giants that I was covering, the 2002 World Series, I disagree with his point about you guys forget pretty conveniently about stuff. No, we don't. I haven't forgotten at all. I will always remember that Nelson Cruz got busted. I'm sorry, I haven't forgotten anything. I just know that the rules...
You're not the average person.
Well, come on.
You got the memory of an elephant. I mean, give me a break.
But how many of those reporters have forgotten about Nelson Cruz? I don't think any of them have.
No, what he's saying is that you'll celebrate him as if you've forgotten what he did. That's all he meant by that. And I'm saying to you, I think that's fair. The fact is that any time we live in an era, first of all, we missed the long ball. You almost wish that there was no steroids era because baseball is dwindling. Bill Madden for the New York Daily News wrote an absolutely fantastic column in Sunday's New York Daily News about how baseball's popularity is dissipating, the length of the games, the absence of home runs, et cetera, et cetera. So we missed the home runs. But in that regard, you look at Nelson Cruz, you're like, well, thank goodness he's hitting the home runs.
Okay, but you cast aspersions on him, and I see John Lackey. I'm a Red Sox fan. All of a sudden, he's throwing 93 again this year. What should I think?
But he also got smacked around by Nelson Cruz in that particular game. All right? And listen, in the end, what it comes down to is simple. It's the Midsummer Classic. You're fresh off of getting busted for PED use. I don't believe you should be a part of that game.
That's why Showalter said make sure your own backyard is clean.
Thank you.
Before you start talking about people. According to our Mark Stein, today has loosely been set as the target date for Carmelo to make a decision. Hollywood or Broadway, we asked before going to the break. Other options in there. But Stephen A., what do you expect Carmelo?
My expectation is that he'll end up in New York. They have the most money. He wants a no-trade option in his contract, by the way, and he deserves it. And the Knicks, I believe, would give it to him. In the end, to me, every scenario outside of Miami is not that far off from New York. So why not stay in New York, make your money, and give Phil Jackson a chance to build around you, since Phil has done a good job thus far. The only hiccup is if you have an opportunity to play with LeBron in South Beach because Bosh leaves.
I agree with that, but I thought from the start that Carmelo Anthony would stay with Phil Jackson in New York. Now, you've thought all along there have been times when you thought Melo was gone, right? So now you're back toward...
Well, I like the changes that Phil has made, and so does Melo. Melo's pleased with the changes that Phil has made and the fact that he's shown a willingness to wheel and deal. But, again, LeBron, X factor.
So if he announces today, the only announcement he could make to me is, I'm staying in New York.
That's right.
Okay.
I thought he was going to the Lakers. Oh, that was...
you like that was pie in the sky.
Oh, pie in the sky idea.
Pie in the western sky.
Western sky. NBA free agency extremely fluid, as mentioned all day long. We'll have the latest for you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can catch First Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2.
The next big thing. The next new kid. The next overnight sensation. The next rookie. One to watch. The next Hall of Famer. The next intimidator. The next six-time. The next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at New Hampshire. Saturday at 3 Eastern on ESPN2.